I hope you can hear me. It's such a beautiful day in Firenze. And here we are, the first week of November, and we have a few lockdowns going on around all of Italy. Lucky for us in the region of Tuscany, we're actually, hi everyone, how you doing? We're in the orange zone, so we can still move around and we can still travel from region to region. Hello, Annie Janice. Ciao. Look where I am. I'm standing on the Ponte Vecchio, and I have behind me a view of the Uffizi Gallery, and here you can see this beautiful canoe club here. I'm still trying to convince my boys to start canoeing so I can sit under that beautiful terrace. And here we're looking out east along the Arno River. So on this side we can see the Old Arno. Here we can see modern building structures. So this was the area that was bombed in World War II, both sides of the old bridge. So I'm on the Ponte Vecchio, and it's very quiet but very beautiful. Let me just walk over here and show you where I am. Here you can see a view of the tip of the cupola of the cathedral, and here we're now looking out west on the western side of the city. So this leads out towards the coast. We're 70 kilometers west of Pisa, and again we can see modern buildings on each side from the bombing of World War II. And a few days ago, or well actually a couple of days ago, on the 4th of November was the anniversary of the flood of 1966 that basically devastated most of the area. Was actually worse than the worst effects than the bombing of World War II. And we're basically going to walk together all along this road. This is the old road, the Via Roma, the old road that leads to the Cassia, the Via Senese, which is an original trading road during the Roman Empire. So when Florence was a Roman city in 59 BC, this strategic road led all the way to Rome. You know, they say all roads lead to Rome. And this one eventually does. We're going to stop. We're not going to walk to Rome. We're going to stop after Porta Romana, the Roman doors. We'll see the old city wall. To arrive at Clara, little boutique residence called Poggio Imperiale Apartments. Poggio Imperiale, named after the Medicean villa that is just a few kilometers after her residence, where she has 7 apartments, beautiful boutique apartments. And we're going to sit on her terrace and enjoy an aperitivo for our, thank God it's Friday, aperitivo time. So as we walk along the road, we can see some pretty incredible views. And here I now just left the old bridge, the Ponte Vecchio, and we're making our way along the Via dei Guicciardini. So the Via dei Guicciardini is named after a very important family who still exists today. So they have been making wine since 1199. And here we can see the medieval Manelli Tower and a private corridor. This is the Vasari corridor that is 800 meters long. So this leads from the town hall, from the Palazzo Vecchio, and it makes its way through all of these building structures to arrive at the Pitti Palace. The Pitti Palace was the last home of the Medici. So it will pass by the Pitti Palace as well. So you can see that now 8 galleries, but originally was the home of Luca Pitti and then the Medici family in the late 14th century. And over here we can see the corridor actually passing through a church. So we're in Piazza Santa Felicità, and we can see that after the terrible conspiracy or the killing of Giuliano de' Medici, the brother of Lorenzo de' Medici, inside the Duomo in 1478. After that, the Medici typically would watch their mass within this corridor. So this was their private corridor where they could actually watch mass without being amongst the common folk. And inside this beautiful church are the chapels, most of the chapels of the Guicciardini family, actually designed by the great architect Brunelleschi, the great designer of the cupola, the Duomo, the dome of Sant'Emilia del Fiore. And along here, along the Via dei Guicciardini, were the homes of the Guicciardini family. So, as I mentioned, they are involved in the wine industry. They have 3 wineries in Tuscany and Chianti Classico area along the coast, along the Maremma, and also in southern Italy, in Puglia. And the family homes were along here. So many of the actually remains of the medieval towers that we see along this street belong to the Guicciardini. And we can see a gorgeous view along here as we walk along the Via dei Guicciardini. Very strange to see this street very, very empty on a Friday afternoon. So it's Friday, where typically we would see this place full of tourists, of locals. It's very, very quiet. So 80% of the people are actually at home, working from home. All of the museums and galleries are closed, even within the region, the orange zones. So with the museums shut and the restaurants closing at 6 in the evening, many of the stores are also shut because there's just basically no one around. And so this means we have a very quiet city, very beautiful city, but very, very quiet. And here we can see one of the homes of the Guicciardini. We can see this beautiful facade, one of the few original facades of the graffiare, the graffiti. This is a scratching technique, and you can see this beautiful ornate facade along with the crest of the Guicciardini family that you can see over here. Here is the family crest of the Guicciardini. Eccola qua. There it is. And this then takes us towards the Pitti Palace. And this is where the corridor, the Vasari corridor ends. So 800 meters long from the town hall to arrive at the home, the last home of the Medici family, called Palazzo Pitti. In fact, it's called Palazzo Pitti because it's named after the original owner. The original owner was Luca Pitti, was a very wealthy banker who they say that when they were building this palace for his family, he wanted the windows to be a lot larger than those of the Medici Riccardi. So like most of the grandiose villas that we have in the historical centre, the whole idea was continuously to keep up or outdo the Medici. But typically these personalities became bankrupt, like Luca Pitti, and the palaces either went to the city or to the Medici. And today we have 8 galleries inside the palace. At the moment they're closed for another month. They're actually shut, but there's 8 galleries inside. Is the second one that is that is also very, very nice and sells the chocolate. So maybe many of you didn't realize that chocolate is a very important ingredient and product. We actually have what we call the Chocolate Valley heading west towards Pisa. And there we have some really incredible boutique chocolate makers. Actually, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to organize a video with a female chocolate maker. And so, I'll keep you posted on that. It may be for Thank God It's Friday, or it may just be a video. And now I'm walking down the Via Romana here. So this street, basically on the left side, all of the homes along here have the view of the Boboli Gardens, because the Boboli, it's 111 acres, were actually a private hunting area for the Medici. So it was actually a delimited zone that didn't actually go quite as far as Poggio Imperiale, the villa that we'll see kind of in front of us as we enter into Clara's boutique residence, Poggio Imperiale Apartments. But it basically led all the way to the old wall and beyond. The viale, the avenues that were created after the unification of Italy, are all modern. This road obviously takes us to the ancient Cassia road, and once the Poggio Imperiale, the avenue was basically all forests. So if you had a look at the newsletter that I sent you, that illustrated black and white picture is actually a picture of what the Viale, that avenue of Poggio Imperiale, originally looked like. So it was full of cypress and oak trees, that beautiful forest area that covered the entire outside walls. So all of that forest area. And today we'll actually find buildings all along there, homes, beautiful homes that were built after the unification of Italy. So during the time of the very important architect Giuseppe Poggi, and we obviously do not see that any longer, but that picture is so beautiful because you can actually see what it once looked like. And here you can maybe get a little view of the Boboli Gardens. Here you can see I'm inside, showing you the Museo dei Boboli, unfortunately closed at the moment. Over this side, we can see another beautiful garden. This is actually a residence, another boutique residence called Annalena. And this is the garden inside. So, the original architecture when Florence, when we were separate city-states, basically the buildings were almost like a fortification. And inside you could find the gardens. And on the Oltrarno, on this side of the river, we find a lot of beautiful gardens that typically open to the public on Sundays. At the moment, not really, but typically they're open to the public, and it's very, very green. In fact, if you visit Florence and you remain within the historical center, like around the area of the train station San Lorenzo, and that part of the city, that kind of entire area around the Duomo and the Ponte Vecchio, you'll think that there's no gardens until you actually walk over the other side of the river to experience the beautiful and historical gardens that are here. Many are private, and there are also quite a few that can be visited. And here we continue our walk down the Via Romana. And this is part of the Pensione Anna Lena on Via Romana. How pretty it is. And here we in fact, it was the Pitti Palace that kind of changed the Oltrarno. The Oltrarno typically was an area where we had a lot of um, places where they would be making tanning leather, a lot of artisans, so more workshops. So it was more the working class people that lived on this side of the river. And in fact, after the Medici moved over, it really kind of changed the area. And that's why we see today a lot of these very large, beautiful homes, because many noble families also kind of followed the Medici and moved over the other side. And of course, before the Medici moved over the Oltrarno, along the Ponte Vecchio was a kind of a smelly place. It wasn't full of the beautiful workshops that we see today or jewelers. It was actually full of fish and meats. There were all the smelly butchers and fish shops along that bridge. And so that was also one of the reasons why the corridor was built under the architect Giorgio Vasari. So that's why we call it the Vasari corridor. Some of you have been lucky enough to visit. I've been lucky enough to visit as well. It actually closed, well, before the pandemic. And so that was kind of one of the reasons why the corridor was also built, to not have to walk over the smelly bridge to arrive at their home. And now I've always arrived at the Porta Romana. You can see the door in front of me. So this door is from the late 13th century. The door was actually built, designed by Andrea Orcagna. So he was also the designer of the Loggia degli Lanzi, the lodge of the Lanzi, the loggia that is on the right side of the facade of the Piazza delle Signorie, of the town hall. And so you can actually see the beginning of Piazzale degli Uffizi, the statue of Andrea Orcagna looking up at his work. And here we can see the door, the beautiful door. And this is one of the few doors that still has the original wooden entry. So there was actually a curfew when the door, actually the entire door existed, the entire walls existed, and the doors were actually closed. And so many of the remaining doors that we see around the perimeter of the historical center no longer have the original wooden doors, but this one actually does. So we can see that as we make our way outside the wall. And this is actually only the only part of the wall that still exists, the southern side. The entire perimeter was taken down. The materials were used to build other buildings and streets and so on. And the whole idea of this town planning was to kind of lengthen out the city. So creating more boulevards. I love this area. As we walk out, this Porta Romana area has a great selection of bakeries. There's Piero Tucci, there's wonderful gelaterie, there's great places to enjoy aperitivo, really nice restaurants, and there's also a pastry shop called Gualtieri. That's one of the first pastry chefs to create vegan recipes, sweet vegan recipes. And that's a great place to have breakfast. And there's also an amazing butcher's, fish shop. So it's really, really a great place. Now, hopefully I won't get run over, but I really want to show you the original wooden doors. So we're going to walk through the place where typically only the cars drive through. So you can see the amazing doors. Okay, let me just get over to this corner. And here you can see the original doors. How beautiful these doors are. These ancient wooden doors. And now we're leaving the historical center and making our way out towards the apartment of Clara. So on the left side, we can see a beautiful garden and another entry into the Boboli. So as I explained, this area here and this Viale, this road, actually was originally part of the Boboli Gardens, okay? And then we have behind the statue by a wonderful contemporary artist called Michelangiolo Pistoletto. This statue was added in the 80s. So I'm going to cross over here. You can see I'm on a road where there's quite a lot of traffic, usually a lot more. So we're going to cross over and I'm going to show you. So originally, the Viale, Poggio Imperiale, and the Cassia were the two roads that existed. So the actual extension after the architect Poggi, Giuseppe Poggi, added the Viale Machiavelli that leads one all the way up towards Piazzale Michelangiolo, to the lookout point of Piazzale Michelangiolo. So I'm going to quickly cross over here. Oh, is it going to be green? Let's see. And this will take us over towards the Viale. We're going to cross. And here we are. We can see some yummy bakeries like Pintucci. They serve the delicious schiacciata, the typical salty snack for the afternoon. And here we can see a beautiful view of the Porta Romana, the Roman doors that take us towards the walkway. Here Pintucci also makes their own gelato. So here we can see a great, and this is also a wonderful place for aperitivo called Deli. And up on this street, there is a classic street food stop, the Tripaio di Firenze. As we make our way towards Maria Clara's, I put my mask on. And we're going to make our way around the corner to arrive on Viale Poggio Imperiale. So here you can see this original section here is the picture that I illustrated of the aperitivo and the cypress trees. But here we see something a little different. Well, very different actually. You just stand in the middle of the road. Here we can see the view of what once was the avenue that led us all the way up to the villa of Poggio Imperiale that now has been transformed into residential area. Okay, so no longer do we have the forest area, and here we can see the view of Porta Romana. So Clara's apartments are very, very close to the city center. It took me 30 minutes or so to walk here from Ponte Vecchio, but if you walked a little faster, it would take you 15 minutes. And just around the corner of the apartments, there's a garage, and we're going to head up to her terrace so that you can meet Clara. Here we can see these beautiful villas, homes that were designed on a strict regulation during the time of the great architect Giuseppe Poggi. So remember, Giuseppe Poggi also designed the consulate, the American consulate, that I had the pleasure to visit with Judy. And if you see most of these villas, these properties are very, very similar. And here we can see the Poggio Imperiale apartments of Clara. Let's go and meet Clara. Let's see where she is. And here we can see the entry. Need to put my Ciao cara, come stai? Bene, bene. Hi Clara. How are you?
Hi, thanks. Nice to see you.
What a beautiful
Yes,
day.
we are very lucky.
We are very lucky.
Yes.
Here is the lovely Clara, and here we are on the terrace of your apartments, the
Yes.
Poggio
Poggio
Imperiale apartments.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about this beautiful place.
Well, I should say something about the area.
Oh, yes.
Because all the area was built at the same time when Florence. Can I take this down?
Yeah. You take it down. I'll keep mine up. Yeah. Sure.
When Florence became capital of Italy, so in 1865. And so all the villas that you see along the Poggio Imperiale Avenue belongs to that period. Yeah.
In fact,
Please come in.
I actually showed the photograph
Yes.
that you showed me in one of your beautiful apartments of
Yes.
the forest area.
Yes.
Of what it actually looked like before.
Yes, because actually the Poggio Imperiale Avenue was the avenue to the Villa Poggio Imperiale, the Imperial Villa Poggio Imperiale. And so it was wood like Boboli Gardens.
All the woodlands.
Both sides.
Both
sides. And then when Florence became capital, it was necessary to have to build new homes. And this area was integrated into the city center. So luckily, the walls, the ancient walls, are still there.
Yes.
And and then they give permissions to the private to build their homes. So and what happened in the rest of of the the town, but unluckily on the other side of the city, they put down the walls.
Yes.
And
they kind of grew the city.
Yes.
Yeah. So was there even strict codes of the colors and the structure? Was there a very strict regulation?
Yes, the architect Poggi said you have to. We still have the script. Well, he wrote you have to build the wall of the house, which has to be some meters.
Oh, so it was that strict.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was very strict.
So I wonder if a lot of these are some of the original trees that still exist.
Yes, sometimes they die, but
yes.
So mainly cypresses and Beech.
Oak,
Oak.
yeah.
A kind of
A
oak.
kind of oak. It's
Yes, not.
different.
Yeah.
It's different to the American oak. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
And the Boboli is full of this kind of
Yes, it is. Yes,
yes,
yes. And here in this, in your building structure, you have a 7
yeah,
apartments,
eight, yeah,
8
yeah, yes.
apartments.
So this side on ground floor and the other side of the house. Yeah, first floors are private homes. Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
beautiful.
You want to see? You want to see one of the apartments? Just
Sure.
to have a look, and then we can
Yes.
have our
We would
photography.
love to. Yes, grazie, Clara. Grazie. So Clara has been very, very careful in maintaining everything original. So the originality is the idea of this beautiful boutique residence. And now you'll see how lovely it is. So you've maintained the beautiful terracotta paving
Yes, yes.
and
But actually, those pavements are the oldest ones.
the original,
Ones,
ah,
yes. And we try to
beautiful.
keep because we did the restoration, which was complete from the roof to the ground floor. And of course, because doing holiday apartments, we need to do it.
Yes,
And but we try to keep the atmosphere that was
yes,
before. So
yes, of
full
course.
color with warm colors is all in calce
Calce, so this
yeah, so it's
original,
a
the
yeah,
original stucco,
and it's
yes.
a breathing paint
Ah, beautiful.
because
So it
it
keeps
just
cool typically in the
yes, yes,
summers.
and it breathes.
It
It breathes.
breathes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. How many years have this been apartments, Clara?
Since 2006.
2006. So you've done a lot of
Yes,
work into
yes.
maintaining it.
Before it was a private home,
Yes,
and as you know, there were many artists coming here as friends, as guests
wonderful.
in the very past when. Like the one you have you see the plaque is a
Yes.
Polish. Don't ask me to pronounce the name because
In fact, I looked at it and I wanted to do it too, but yes.
it's really very. Anyways, Wozowski.
Wozowski, yes, yes.
And he stayed here for 2 years, and he was a writer.
Wonderful.
He wrote about politics and philosophy, and so
Wonderful.
he's describing his child playing in this terrace,
Oh, che
and
bello.
so I could imagine how was the life
Oh, that's
look like.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yes,
Can we have a little look at the bathroom?
sure.
I love how you did the bathrooms.
Everything is new
The
even. It's
original
those
bathrooms with the beautiful tiling.
yes,
You did a beautiful job, Clara.
thank you.
And there's all air conditioning and Wi-Fi.
Yes, sure,
This
sure.
is the latest thing that people ask, no?
Yes,
They don't ask you about anything else, just the Wi-Fi.
yes, Wi-Fi. And first, we can have the Wi-Fi on the terrace as well. So if guests like to
Wonderful.
stay on the terrace, they can work, they can play, they can do
Oh, it's so
Wi-Fi
beautiful.
accessible.
I can understand how poets and writers and artists
Yeah,
would come because it has this beautiful, it's very inspiring. It's like being in the countryside, yet you're
yeah.
just a few
Actually,
minutes from the city.
yeah. Actually, the idea was that when it was built, because it was still the feeling of the countryside. It was countryside till
Yes,
1865, and in fact, also the furniture you can see it's more
a country.
countryside
Yeah.
and an elegant house
Yes,
in the city center,
yes,
and
yes.
I was very much loved by painters because here you are in the city center and you have lots of
You're
green
inspired.
and you are inspired because there are beautiful villas also on top along the avenue, and there is a free park where you can walk, jogging if you like, and
Beautiful.
playing space for children at the scuderia, the stable,
Oh, yes,
beyond
yes, that's
nearby.
gorgeous. My kids, I take my kids there. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
yes,
beautiful. It's
yes.
beautiful. Very
And
beautiful.
yes, and on the other side also, it's very well equipped with shops.
Oh my gosh,
Via Tenerife.
amazing. I told them
Yes,
all about the beautiful restaurants and the
yeah,
gelateria and the fornaio. It's
yes,
wonderful. It's wonderful.
Triperia.
And the triperia, yes.
I like it
Yes.
very much.
So good.
Yeah.
Is the original one, the traditional one, the son of Marco is Lapo
Yes.
from Via Giuberti.
Yes.
So it's an original
Yes.
street food, the
Yes.
original street food of
Street
Firenze.
food. Yes, yes, yes. It was poor because we used the tripe, which was inexpensive. While
Yes,
rich people used to eat the best part
of course,
of the beef. Yes.
but it's delicious.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
So do I.
Yeah.
And
There
for
are some
not for every
restaurants.
day, but
They do well. There are some restaurants, and also I think he does it. Is tortelli with the tripe inside. They are delicious,
delicious.
very
Buonissimo.
delicate, very delicate.
Buonissimo.
And
Buonissimo.
even people that don't like the tripe, they like the
They love
small.
it. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes. Buonissimo. Buonissimo.
yeah.
Shall we have our aperitivo?
Yes, sure.
So I can imagine that many wonderful aperitivo have been had on this terrace over these years.
Yes.
Maybe some parties as well. Che bello. Oh, grazie. Che bello. So the aperitif, oh, look at what you've prepared for us. Clara.
Separated, so everybody can pick.
Oh,
Each of us
mamma,
can
che
pick
bello. Guarda. Look
for
at
the
the
COVID.
presentation.
For the COVID.
Our
And the
COVID
wine,
aperitivo.
yes, COVID aperitivo. Oh, two.
Oh, and the wine.
Yeah.
Let's
Allora, the wine,
come sit down.
we have bottle from Cantina Sociale for us.
Ah,
So we for our guests.
how beautiful.
Yes. And,
Thank you so much. So the aperitif, I often say,
can I?
yes, yes. I often say to my guests that the aperitif is really the time before dinner to kind of bring on the hunger.
Yes.
No? It's a little bit early because usually it's
Yeah, but we have
it's
coffee
later.
poco.
But because we we're in this moment, we are a little early. Let's do a salute. Salute.
Salute.
Salute to you, and thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you for
Clara,
visiting me.
thank you, Clara. Thank you so much. You know, one of the things we didn't mention and you told me about was the famous
Cantagalli.
the Cantagalli. The Cantagalli. You know what the Cantagalli is?
Yeah.
What is the Cantagalli?
It was a factory who
Mm-hmm.
came, would say, after Ginori,
Uh-huh.
and they made potteries here,
Yes.
and they became very popular, and they in the 19th centuries. So when this house was built, they were already here because it was countryside. And there are potteries of Cantagalli at the Albert and Victorian Albert Museum in
Wow.
London, and very much appreciated. Unfortunately, in about 1956, they put down the factory,
Uh-huh.
and all the collection is in Faenza, in the Museo della Ceramica di Faenza.
Ah,
Yeah,
bellissimo. So
yeah.
this is the opportunity.
So,
Look
and they,
at
you know,
this.
at that time was very in fashion to copy the famous paintings like Botticelli
Ah,
or Della Robbia. So they used to make these plates and plates or potteries and have drawn on
depicting the paintings.
Yes,
I
yes.
see.
This is the mechanical down here.
Oh yeah. I saw him down there. Yeah, there's a lot of building structures going on. Salute a tutti. Let's have a sip.
Salute.
So this is a white sparkling wine,
Prosecco,
a
sì,
prosecco.
prosecco, yes. So you know the
Buonissimo. You know the
composition,
prosecco is always the best kind of bringing on the hunger for the aperitivo. The typical grape varietal that we call it Clara, that comes originally from the area of Veneto. In fact, the original area of the Prosecco is Val d'Obbiadene, above Venice, where actually it was, we call it method Charmat, the method, but actually, and which is French, but actually was invented by an Italian. It was invented by Martinotti, but he didn't patent the idea. And so we no longer call it the Martinotti method. It is the method Charmat, which is actually this effervescence that they contain the grape inside stainless steel cylinders, and so it has an added effervescence. So it's not to be compared to champagne, which is more of a natural method of sparkle creating the effervescence. But it is absolutely delicious. In Venice, typically they serve with a fresh peach juice, which is called the Bellini, che è buonissimo. And now you see most, around the world, all over the world now, the spritz, which the spritz is served with also the Prosecco Campari or Prosecco Aperol and soda. So it is very delicious. Typically in Firenze, we have more with the Campari, a little more of a bitter flavor.
Yeah.
It's become very famous, the
Yeah, I
spritz.
know. Yes, especially among the young people. Yeah, but now I've seen abroad very much.
Very
Yes,
much. Do you
yes.
remember this being such a famous thing, the Aperol spritz? Not
No,
really.
no, no. Well,
Really.
actually, Aperol was very famous like 40 years ago.
Right.
But not the spritz.
Not the
Yes,
spritz. So it
yes,
was more the original select that was maybe added
yes,
with a soda
yes.
or yeah,
I don't
this.
know if the fashion came after Cipriani in Venice
I
because
think Cipriana definitely was the Bellini,
the
but the
Bellini, so the
spritz
idea of
is a modern
yeah,
fame.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So it was actually Cipriani. So he was the owner of the beautiful now five-star luxury hotel on the island of Giudecca. That was his home, and he invented the Bellini.
yes, yes.
Yeah, the famous Bellini from Harry's Bar. We also have a Harry's
Harry's
Bar
Bar,
in
yes, it's not the
Firenze.
same chain, but
No,
the name
is
and it's
Harry's
a
Bar.
very nice,
It's absolutely
very nice
beautiful, and
bar.
also where it's positioned along the
Yes,
Lungarno.
yes, yes.
So many beautiful
Yeah,
places to
yeah.
visit in
And
Firenze.
I like the furniture, how it's
Yes,
furnished inside, very traditional.
it's kept a very traditional style.
Yeah, yeah,
The aperitivo, in terms of tradition, we see more in the north, really, like more in Venice,
yeah.
where you have these beautiful cocktail bars. But in fact, the actual cocktails, the first ever cocktail is actually from Firenze, the Negroni, which was 100 years ago. And in fact, that whole area that I've taken you all to many times, we spoke about with Clara about these beautiful bars or beautiful places that existed just during the time of the Giacosa.
And also the
Donny,
restaurant Donny. Yes,
Donny,
yes, yes.
yes. So we are going to say a salute to you,
Salute.
and we can't wait until you can all come to visit us in Firenze. Thank you for being with me, and for thank you,
Thank you.
Clara, for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Grazie mille.
Thank you.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao.
Grazie. Ciao.